Hey guys, are you looking for an excellent active layer to keep you nice and warm in cold conditions, but also breathable so you don't overheat? If so, you're going to want to consider these two options, the Arcteryx Proton LT versus the Patagonia Nano Air. That's next. Welcome to Backcountry Renegade. I'm Jeff. Today we are looking at two very popular active layer jacket options that are out there, the Patagonia Nano Air and the Arcteryx Proton LT. Both these jackets are of synthetic insulation and are highly breathable, so they're great for cool conditions as a standalone jacket where you can use them in activities such as climbing, hiking, or backpacking, but they're also great in cold conditions as an active layer underneath a shell where you can use them in snowboarding, skiing, or mountaineering. So these are two very popular jacket options to consider. Now, there are pros and cons to each when you are looking at these two. So let's look at that in more detail and see what is the best jacket for you. The Nano Air has been a long-time standard of active layers from Patagonia. You can use it for a wide range of activities, and it's a great high-intensity jacket to use because it is so breathable and can help shed out the excess heat. It has a really good fit that is slim and trim, yet it is very stretchy as well. It sells new for $299, but you can find it on sale every now and then. It's made of some recycled materials and environmentally friendly. The Proton LT is a newer addition to the growing line of jackets from Arcteryx, and it brings newer technology to the active layer department. It provides warmth and excellent breathability while bringing some much needed durability for the backcountry. This is an excellent option that's geared towards climbers and mountaineers. It retails also for $299, so the same price as the Nano Air. It also comes in multiple sizes and colors. The LT in the name actually means lightweight. Looking at these two jackets, there are a lot of similarities. Now, both of these are hooded versions. They can also come in a non-hooded version if you would like. They are both breathable, active layers. They can be used as a standalone jacket in cool weather, but then they can also be used as a mid-layer underneath a shell in cold conditions. They are both made of synthetic insulation, so they can keep you warm even if they get wet. Now let's look a little bit more in detail of the differences of these two jackets. First, let's consider the outer material fabric. The Nano Air features 100% polyester shell that's made of 100% recycled material. The fabric actually has a four-way mechanical stretch in it. So this is a very soft yet very stretchy kind of shell that you see here. Very smooth to the touch as well. It is coated with a DWR finish, so it can repel water to an extent. It's super light, super soft, but it does have some durability. Now the Proton LT, upon feeling this, you can feel that it is also soft, yet it is a little bit more of a denier here. The fabric is called the Arcteryx Fortis Air 40 fabric. So it's a 40 denier, but it still is air permeable to prevent you from overheating, and so you can be on the move. It's resistant to wind, also water and snow, and it still has excellent breathability. Now, the reason they went with a higher denier fabric here is because this is geared more towards climbers and mountaineers. They want it to be abrasion resistant to an extent. Now, compared to the Nano Air, this is going to be a lot more delicate, more fragile of a material here than the Proton LT. The 40 denier does provide the good durability, yet it's still soft. It has 92% nylon with 8% elastane, so it does also provide a little bit of stretch for you. Now, while the Nano Air is a lot more stretchy and a bit softer, it is far less durable than the Proton LT. The Proton LT anticipates that climbers are going to be using this and that it might scrape against rock, branches, and bushes, so it's built to last a little bit longer. Let's talk about insulation. The Nano Air features 60 grams of full-range polyester thermolite insulation. 40% of that is recycled, and it warms as it stretches, so it's a pretty cool material. Now, the full range actually provides a little bit of space in between the insulation there to provide warmth while still being stretchy, but also being breathable. Now, that's a double-edged sword. It can be stretchy and nice, but it can also allow wind to come in a lot easier, but it can also let hot air to go out a lot easier as well. So even though it's breathable, it still will trap the right amount of heat needed. Now the Proton LT uses a little bit thicker insulation inside. It's 80 grams of Corloft Compact. So it's a compact insulation to make the layer nice and thin, so you can still use it to layer as well. And it's nice for that. But then you also have certain areas like in the hood that is 60 grams, so a little bit less insulation there. That Corloft is 100% polyester material. So you do have a bit more insulation in the Proton LT, and it will be a bit warmer of a jacket. Also because you have this outer, a little bit more durable denier, so it does a little bit better job of blocking wind compared to the Nano Air. Now let's talk about the inner liner. The inner liner for the Patagonia Nano Air is a nice soft denier in here, and it's a polyester denier as well. Now the inner liner of the Proton LT is called a Dope Premier. Pretty cool name, Dope Premier. And what that is, it's an air permeable liner that is constructed with the insulation to help regulate comfortable microclimate inside your jacket. So it's permeable, but the reason they call it dope is because it's dope dyed with a 20 denier liner in here. So dope dyed is just a special process that uses less water. It's more environmentally friendly in order to dye that liner inside. Now let's talk about the weight for these two jackets. The Nano Air is going to weigh 346 grams, or that's 12.2 ounces. Now the Proton LT is 375 grams, or 13.2 ounces. Now both these jackets are excellent breathability. The Nano Air is going to be the most breathable jacket out there in this category. It's very breathable, it's all round, it's designed for high output activity because of that insulation that we talked about with those spaces in there. This is what this jacket is known for. In fact, it's said to have 40 CFM breathability. So you're rarely ever going to overheat, if any. This is built to be a layer that is meant that you never have to remove during your activities. So during your aerobic endeavors, you will leave this jacket on because it does such a good job of dispelling the heat. Now the Proton LT is very breathable as well, but it's not going to be as breathable compared to the Nano Air. You do have that outer denier that's a little bit thicker, which does do a good job of blocking wind as well. So you will feel warmer at times as well, but it still does a good job laying out the heat. If breathability is the most important factor between these two jackets, the Nano Air is going to be the more breathable. Now let's talk about the warmth. The Nano Air isn't really known for its warmth, but it still is a warm jacket. Now, what it's really known for is the breathability. As we mentioned, it's meant to be an active layer, so it's meant to release most of the warm air, but it will keep a little bit to an extent. And for this to be really warm, you either have to be constantly active or you need to use a shell over this so it can block out the wind. Now the Proton LT is using that thicker insulation, that 80 grams Corloft Compact, and you have your heavier denier on the outside, so it's going to be a more warmer jacket. Looking at the zippers, we can see that they both have a zipper that goes all the way in the center of the jacket. Now, the Nano Air is going to feature just basically a regular zipper. You can see it goes all the way through, and as you zipper it up, if you leave a little bit open and you try to open it, it's not going to do it unless you pull the zipper down. Now, compare that to the Proton LT. The Proton LT, if you're similar to the Atom LT, is the same kind of zipper technology. It's the free-flowing zipper, which means if you have it open and you get that tension, basically you just put it across and it goes down on its own. It free flows down. But it also does that to a certain extent. The main zipper, while it is free-flowing from the sternum to below, above that it has the no-slip zipper. So the no-slip zipper actually prevents it from self-opening during certain activities to an extent. But let's say you get a lot of tension, it's still going to allow some give. So you can see it kind of feels like there's some missing teeth or anything. That's just bumps in here to prevent it from going down on its own. Now, if you put a lot of tension, it's going to open. So it's actually built in there like that to protect the zipper, so it protects the jacket as a whole. Also behind the zipper, you can see you do have a nice little wind flap here that prevents any kind of breeze going through the zipper. Now you do not have that on the Nano Air. So the Nano Air does not have that little wind flap behind the zipper, and that's so it can make it be even more breathable as well through the zipper. Now looking at the pockets, both these jackets have the traditional side pockets here. Now you can see that these are nice pockets in here. You have the zipper, you can zip them up real nicely. They're pretty thin. It goes inside the insulation here. And you can see the pockets are a bit raised a little bit, so you can use a harness, or you can have your backpack hip belt go and not really hinder much from the pockets. Now compare that to the Proton LT. You can see the pockets do go up a little bit higher. The Proton LT is built for climbing and mountaineers, assuming you're going to be wearing a harness. And so this is actually a lot better. It clears completely the harness. It'll also clear a hip belt as well, and you have full access to your pocket. So just one thing to consider with those pockets. Another pocket that both these jackets have is the left chest pocket, Napoleon pocket type thing. And so we see it on the Proton LT. You have your pocket here. Now the cool thing about this pocket is it also has a little tab in here if you want to hang some keys or something there. You could do that. Another cool thing about this Napoleon pocket here is it also doubles as a stuff sack. So you can stuff the jacket in this pocket and it compresses nicely in there. Now the Napoleon pocket on the Arcteryx Proton, you can see is there as well, but it is not meant to stuff the jacket in. It won't be able to do that. So it's just there to put some other things. Now let's talk about compressibility, since we talked about these pockets. Now the first thing is this is going to be pretty compressible. So if you go ahead and open that pocket, you can stuff this jacket completely into that left chest pocket. So you can compress the Nano Air into its own pocket to have it be its own stuff sack. And you also have a little tab here where you can clip it on to, let's say, a harness or something like that if you chose to do it. Now the Proton LT, one of the downsides is, since you are using a little bit more insulation and a little bit more denier in the fabric here, you're not going to be able to compress it like this. But you can still compress it down a little bit, but just to kind of give you an idea, this is about what you're going to be looking at here. You can press it, maybe put a rubber band around it, but it's not nearly going to be as small as the Nano Air will be. So compressibility, the Nano Air will win here. All right, now let's take a look at the cuffs on the sleeves. Now, the Nano Air has what we call a sleek, snag-resistant cuff. So it's basically has some elastic here and allows a little bit of stretch here, and allows it to roll up your sleeves if you wanted, or put on gloves as well. Now the Proton LT has what we call a 4-way stretch cuff with some elastane there, and I actually prefer that over the Nano Air kind of cuff. And the reason is because you have a little bit more cinch around your wrist to trap out any cold air, and you also can have this go over a glove if you would like. It just feels softer and smoother as well. Now let's talk about the hoods. This is where we see a big difference here. The Nano Air has what we call a scuba hood. It's going to be smaller, it's going to be tighter, and it's actually going to be a lot less material, so less bulk as well. Now this is a hood that's meant to go underneath a helmet. So if you're wearing it underneath a helmet, it actually works really good and keeps you nice and warm for that. But let's say the majority of the time you're probably not going to be using it underneath a helmet. So you're probably just going to be wearing it around town. It looks pretty awkward when you are doing that. It's not my favorite hood at all. Now it does have some elastic here on the outside to allow you to get nice even fit over your head, and easy to take off because it allows a little bit of stretch there. Now looking at the Proton LT hood, the Proton LT hood is going to be bigger, and it's the traditional kind of hood, but this hood actually is a little bit wider because it's meant to go over a helmet rather than underneath the helmet. Now let's say you're not wearing a helmet, you can still go ahead and cinch it down around you to take some of that bulk out. But I actually prefer the hood of the Proton. For me, it's more stylish, plus it's able to do a little bit more versatility. Whether I want to wear it without a helmet or with a helmet, it still looks good regardless. So I prefer the hood of the Proton LT. Now let's talk about the fit. The fit for me, the Proton wins hands down. Now both these jackets are relatively slim or trim fitting. Now the Nano Air is going to be a little bit tighter to your body because it has more stretch. So in an effort to reduce bulk and reduce weight, it is a little bit tighter, but you can really feel the jacket stretching as you move, and it's because it's built into the material, so it doesn't restrict your movement at all, even though it might be slightly tighter. Now the Proton specifically is designed for climbers in mind, so it has articulated arms and guested elbows, which gives you a little bit more room here, so when you're climbing up and reaching for the next hold, the sleeve isn't rolling up on you. You have plenty of movement, and it's not restricting you at all. Proton really is one of the best fitting jackets in the market. It's nice and slim, allows freedom of movement, and it's comfortable for layering. This really is a climber's dream if you're into climbing. Now let's talk about the bottom of the jacket here a bit. Now you can see you have this elastic on the bottom brim, and that's in an effort to kind of close the gap from any air going up into the jacket and provide a little bit of closure there. Now with the Proton LT, you actually have these cinch cords here where you can cinch it down to your liking. Now the nice thing about that is it's adjustable where the Nano Air is not going to be. Now the logo for the Patagonia and most of their jackets, they have their patch and it's sewed on. It really talks about the high quality. One of my digs about the Proton LT, and I'm not too happy about it, is their logo here is just stamped on. It's not embroidered or stitched on like some of their other jackets. And so I really wish that would have been embroidered. It would have made it seem a lot more higher quality. So concluding thoughts, who won the jacket battle for me? Was it the Nano Air or the Proton LT? For me, I have to give it to the Arcteryx Proton LT. And the reason is because it had actually more pros than it did the cons when considering these two jackets. Now the first pro that I want to bring up is the fit. The Arcteryx Proton LT just fits me perfectly. It has a great fit from down here all the way to the back, and there's just something about the Arcteryx trim fit that just fits me nice and true. So it is really a preference option, but for me, I love the Arcteryx fit. Another pro about the Proton LT is I think it's actually more stylish because the hood is the typical normal hood compared to the really small hood that you do find on the Nano Air. It just looks more stylish. It looks like a jacket that you can just go around town and you can use, and it looks normal. It also looks really good underneath a layer. So compared to the Nano Air, I definitely like the style of the Proton LT. Another pro to consider is the outer material of the Proton LT. This is going to be a little bit tougher material than you do find on the Nano Air. The Nano Air is going to be more delicate, so it's more susceptible to rips and tears. Now the Proton LT has a little beefier material here, and so you can use it for a little bit more abrasion resistance. It's built a little bit more for high activities such as climbing and rubbing against things, and so it's able to withstand a lot more than the Nano Air will be. Another pro is because of the more durable outer material, it also blocks wind a little bit better than the Nano Air does. So if you're just using it as a standalone jacket, you're gonna feel a bit warmer than you will in the Nano Air overall. Another pro about the Proton LT is it's built more with climbers in mind. So if you're ever going to use a harness with this jacket, the pockets are a little bit higher than you do have on the Nano Air. So the harness is not going to prevent you from using your pockets. So something nice to consider if you are using this for more of a climbing and technical kind of outer layer jacket. This is something that is a nice feature, so you can still access your pockets if your hands get cold. Now let's consider the cons. The first con is the Proton LT is a bit pricey. Compared to the Nano Air, they are the same price, so you are looking at two very expensive jackets, but you are getting what you pay for with the Proton LT. Another con about the Proton LT is the logo is not embroidered. I really would have loved to see that. I can see this in the future with all the abrasion and stuff. This possibly could wear off, so something just to consider. Another con about the Proton LT is the weight. It is going to be a little bit heavier of a jacket than the Nano Air because it does use a little bit heavier outer material. And so because it is more durable, it is going to be a little more heavier. So that also means it is going to be a little less compressible. So compared to the Nano Air, it can compress down a lot better than the Proton LT. So something to consider, but for me, all the pros outweigh the cons, which is why I went with the Proton LT. So what did you think of these two jackets? Who won the jacket battle for you? Was it the Patagonia Nano Air or the Arcteryx Proton LT? Leave me a comment in the comments section. If you like what you saw and want to see more jacket reviews like this, give me a thumbs up. Also, make sure to subscribe, and as always, thanks for watching.